Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle, where we are recapping the Rutgers versus Iowa game, where Iowa pulls it out in the end, a heartbreaker for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. We're brought to you by FanDuel here at the Big Ten Huddle. We cover every single Big Ten team. Going to talk about this Rutgers and Iowa game, kind of dissect it, what went on, what happened, and then also we're going to look at Oregon Penn State. That game, it's a week away, but it's getting a little bit of extra buzz right now. And Oklahoma State just lost to Tulsa tonight as well. What does this say about the Oregon Ducks, and are they right to feel so confident about them going into the whiteout against the Nittany Lions? We'll talk about it all, but as always, I have my main guy here with me, Zach Guggenheim. Zach, how are you feeling? How are you doing after witnessing what you just witnessed?
I feel a little bummed. Obviously I picked Rutgers to win. I think there are some positives for both teams though. I think, Cadillac Manis had that interception at the end, but I thought he actually played really well. And, I still maintain that this receiving core is one of the best in the conference with Duff and with Sheffield and Ian Strong. Ian Strong was a force tonight. But I think one of the big takeaways for me is, and our man Jeff kind of put it in the group chat that we have, Phil Parker, I think, had a really good second half game plan, and Rutgers defense could not match Iowa's defense, which I think we knew going into it, but I still thought if Rutgers scored 28, they would win the game. They scored 28. They did not win the game. And part of that was special teams. And part of that was Iowa's defense does have dudes on it, and Rutgers really doesn't. And so I think, if anything, it just kind of signaled what we thought about Rutgers, which is they're an incomplete team. And I think it signaled for Iowa that, we think their defense is pretty good, but that they should be better than what they are. And if anything, I think it elevated my thought about Rutgers, and it doesn't really change much about how I think about Iowa.
All right. Well, we'll get into it all. Let's see who we got here in the chat with us. Max says, wild night for both teams, scared to play Iowa next week. Max, don't worry. Just take care of Illinois and move on from there. When I say take care, I just mean take care of the worries against Illinois. Who knows what's going to happen in that game.
Yep.
So, often daunted, friend of the show, Burke says, JR, the frames are a nice look. Appreciate it, Burke. Yeah, we are the Specs Bros, me and Zach. My contacts dry out by 10 o'clock. So really, if I'm ever coming on after 10 o'clock, it's normally a Specs time for JR, yeah. And that's just how it goes. So, all right. Yeah, so I don't necessarily disagree with you. The announcers, I kind of put it in the final score post that I put on X. The announcers kind of said, the playoff hopes are still alive for Iowa in this one. Certainly anything can happen. They only have one loss, but to me, this Iowa team does not look like a playoff team. They beat Rutgers in an away game where there was a lot of adversity for Iowa, and so give them a lot of credit there. But this is your standard Kirk Ferentz team, right? And this is one of the more difficult schedules remaining in the Big Ten. So I'll be honest, I can't see any more than 9 wins on the schedule for this Iowa team. So, I don't want to spend the entire time trashing them, but if Mark Gronowski is going to continue to kill drives with his arm and they're not going to be able to pick up third downs against better teams, I don't know how you're going to be able to do that. Now, to their credit, Iowa ran the ball really well in this one. I brought up the stat. They had 3 different ball carriers that had 5.4 yards per carry or more on the season. I felt like that was evident in this game. And not only was that evident, but Rutgers' terrible defensive line was evident as well. Now they were facing one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten and also the country, in Iowa, not just as a pass blocking unit, but a run blocking is really where they excel. So it's a tough task for Rutgers. But I got to be honest, Zach. I don't feel great about this Rutgers team going into the rest of the Big Ten play if you're going to get this kind of run stopping effort from the defensive line. A lot of safeties making tackles in this game, it felt like.
Yeah. Well, and it's unfortunate because their skill, I thought their skill positions and their quarterback showed that they are legit, but their line play is terrible.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. I will say, like, they go to Minnesota next week. I think that's a winnable game. I think Purdue's a winnable game. I think Maryland's a winnable game. But like after that, like at Washington, Oregon, at Illinois, at Ohio State, and Penn State at home, that's brutal. And we talked about that at the beginning. Like I talked about that with our guy Larry Crane from Night Watch. He might make an appearance here. We're not sure. He was at the game tonight. So Larry, uh, sorry that you had to experience the loss. Um, but you got to see a great game. It was a fantastic game from start to finish. But yeah, I feel bad for Rutgers because I feel like the thing that they've been missing for years has been an explosive offense. They
Hmm.
have guys to be explosive now, but everything else is bad. Like is not what it was. And part of it's youth. Part of it's youth. Part of it is that they're just not going to build a roster. There's a part of me that wonders, man, if Mohamed Toure, I know he's not on the line, but to have an explosive linebacker like that, if
I
he had
mean, I
stayed at
don't think the
Rutgers,
linebacker play was the issue today. I mean, Adam Wright
no,
and Dijabome both had 7 tackles. To me, it was the defensive line more than
yeah,
anything, and honestly, the secondary couldn't. They couldn't cover anything.
yeah,
Fisherman brings up. He says, "Does Rutgers have the worst special teams?" I mean, worst special teams. It's probably up there based on this one, but then again, Iowa always has really good special teams, so you have to consider, how does that
yeah,
go? I think to me, what stood out more than anything in this one as the worst, and I ranked him as the worst going into the season, and I caught some flack from some Rutgers fans, and I got it. Like you to rank a Rutgers secondary, a Greg Schiano secondary, as one of the worst, if not the worst, in the Big Ten going into the season. That was a hot take. But I gotta be honest, Zach, I don't know if I saw anything in this game to make me think that's not the case.
yeah. Well, think about it this way: special teams was a 16-point swing in favor of Iowa.
Hmm.
Like that's the game. Like
Well,
if
if you would have not had the kick return touchdown at the very
yep,
beginning by Wetchen, or Weechen, if you would have not had that, and then you would have had 2 field goals, right? 2 field goals missed by
yeah,
Rutgers.
yep, 34-31.
Yep.
And I mean, even if you say like Iowa missed a field goal too, 34-34.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even a missed field goal, right? The one was blocked. So missed field goal and blocked field goal that Iowa had.
Well, I'm talking about the Iowa missed a field. They missed a field goal.
Right. But I'm saying the Rutgers one it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
2 missed field goals. So
It was one and
even if you have the missed one, but you connect on the second one, which was a gimme, but it got blocked, like you still are going into overtime in this one. In
yeah,
that scenario, I mean, obviously, if transitive property works perfectly, but as we all know, it doesn't really work that way. So, yeah, I mean, this was just a mind-boggling game for a Rutgers fan watching the special teams. A
yeah,
hooligan is reposting the stream on Twitter. Hooligan, we greatly appreciate that. Anybody else who's watching on
yeah,
X, Twitter, if you would, please do repost the stream. We always appreciate that for sure. I mean, is that the story of the game in this one, Zach? Failed special teams efforts by Rutgers. I mean, they had the offense. The defense wasn't great, but they still came up on third down and stopped. Stopped Iowa. Some of it was Iowa's mistakes, but I mean, Iowa was only 3 of 8 on third down in this
yeah,
one. It's not like Iowa was converting every single time. Um, yeah, what'd you think?
yeah. I mean, I think it's a combination. I think B Blair, who I don't know if I've ever seen him post on here. So Blair, we appreciate you being here. He said Rutgers got beat down at the end and relied on chucking up 50-50 balls. I I think there's more nuance required to that. But I will say this: they talked about at halftime, Rutgers controlled time of possession, so they kept Iowa's offense off the field. They kept their offensive line off the field because they knew that line was better than their defensive line. So like, don't tire us out. But I think you're right. I think special teams, and I think the adjustments for Iowa in the second half. I think those two things, which I think if you're really honest with yourself, you knew that Rutgers probably couldn't keep the pace because of the mismatch on the line of scrimmage. And so the fact that Rutgers was so torrid in the first half, you kind of knew that you couldn't keep that up. And so again, I think you have to say that it's special teams, because to go in and think, well, we're gonna have Kaliak Manis, who again I thought played really well in this game, but to have him chuck it up 36 times because we can't run the ball.
I mean, I will say on Kaliak Manis, like don't get me wrong, he's a good quarterback. He's much improved, 3rd-year starter, all that stuff. But there were some deep balls in this game, like the one in the end zone. I believe it was on the final drive before Iowa took the lead. The one in the end zone, all he has to do is lead him to
Yeah.
the other side of the end zone, and he throws it on the back side of him where the Iowa defender is. It's like I get it. It's not an easy
Yeah.
throw to make, but
He
you're a 3rd-year starter at this point. You're a senior. That should be a throw that you should be able to make to your guys, especially when you have the wide receivers that he has. These receivers were getting open, Zach. These receivers were not the issue in the fact that they weren't getting open. Now, some of these balls, I will give, credit to Athan Kaliakman. Some of these balls he put on the numbers and it hit the receivers and went down. But some of that was also because the Iowa DBs were just being so darn physical with
Yep.
these Rutgers receivers. And I know Rutgers fans are probably going to be, all upset with, this, pass interference and stuff like that. And I get that. I do. But at a certain point, they were letting it happen. The referees were letting it happen, and you got to out physical them, which I think Rutgers started to do in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, but it almost felt like too little, too late at that point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Here's the thing, and this goes back to your point, is special teams the story of this game? If the special teams don't happen like they did, we're not criticizing Kaliak Manis tonight. And so I don't disagree that, that especially that one ball to Duff should have been 6 inches to the inside. But man, I I have a hard time, particularly with how much we've kind of dinged Kaliak Manis over the years. I think you can make a real case that he played really, really well. Ian Strong, Fisherman. Ian Strong's so good. Ian Strong's so
He was one
freaking
of the
good.
ones that was fighting through the physicality
Yeah.
of the Iowa defenders consistently. It wasn't just in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Duff and I'm forgetting the other one. They
Chef.
started fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheffield. They
Yeah.
started fighting through it better in the fourth quarter as well, particularly Duff. But like I said, too little, too late. At that point, you just keep going to Ian Strong, which, by the way, in this one he had what was it, 12 catches, I believe, 8 catches,
8 for
12 targets.
151.
151. No touchdowns, but a lot of that was just on the ground. I think Cali McManus had 2 rushing touchdowns, and Antoine Raymond had 2 rushing touchdowns as well.
Yeah.
And
I
the inability to run the ball in the second half, too, Zach.
yeah.
I mean, Rutgers in the second half, they were hardly able to run the ball. Credit to
Yeah.
Iowa on that for sure.
Yeah, that did yeah. So here's something I want to run by you, because I would agree. I don't think this tells us much about Iowa, other than okay, they're going to be another 7-9 win team. I will say this, because and maybe this is just my admission, I have been very down on Mark Gronowski. And I thought he made some plays tonight that make I understand why Iowa fans were so excited about him. That being said, if he does not fix the short throws, he threw a couple beautiful balls tonight. But my gosh, like the one to Ortworth, that should have been a
On
walk-in
third down,
touchdown.
third
Should have
and
been a
5.
yeah, it should have been a
Yeah.
walk-in touchdown. I'm like, you're a what, 5th-year senior? You can't miss that throw.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it was several times tonight. And so again, to your point, I think this showed kind of we were right about Rutgers in that we didn't think that they would be they weren't going to level up from the past 2 years. That this is going to be more of a down year. I don't think that was like I don't think we're wrong about that. It just stinks because they have the quarterback and the skill guys at wide receiver. I think to really be productive, everything else is lacking. But Iowa, like
Which
if
is
you're
kind of like the opposite of Iowa, right? Iowa has everything. They have the defensive line, they have the offensive line. The secondary, it was a little iffy, but you know what? Phil Parker came out with the game plan of out physical Rutgers, and
yeah,
I was fine with it because eventually it worked to your benefit. Was there pass interference? Yeah. Were you being so physical that they would have had to call it on every single play? Yeah. So,
it's
but they're
good.
not going to call it on every single play, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think Iowa fans are gonna look at this like we escaped and we got a big win, and it's like, listen, if Rutgers won, it would have been like pandemonium. In other words, like Iowa was supposed to win, and it didn't look like they were gonna win for a while. Like
Hmm.
this is a further indictment on the Hawkeyes and their inability to elevate. And while I think there were promising things, like Iowa plays Indiana. I know, was it Max in the chat was like, I'm worried about playing Iowa. I wouldn't be.
I'm not worried for Indiana,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, it's at Iowa. That's probably giving you the biggest worry there. But I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but I, this Indiana secondary is not going to play this like this Rutgers secondary. You had dudes wide open. I mean, I think at one point Jeff made the comment either on X or in our group chat, like a middle school quarterback could have been making some of these throws
Yep.
to some of these guys with just how wide open they were. I mean, and Iowa receivers were literally just stopping to catch the ball. I mean, and we also have to be honest. Gronowski missed some throws too. I do like that Tim Lester seems to be getting Gronowski out of the pocket more, which I think is better for him, and I think he's more
Yep.
comfortable in that area. For whatever reason, he throws a better ball on the run than he does setting his feet in the pocket. It's
Yep.
kind of wild, but that's how it worked out for him. And I thought Gronowski's legs were, going to be a bigger factor in this one. I mean, he did run for 55 yards. So maybe it was a big factor, but in this one with Rutgers having the secondary that they have, and then you brought it up here, all the injuries Rutgers has. If anybody's coming away from this one and they're like Iowa, they're back, like much better. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking
No.
Iowa, good job, you did what you're supposed to do, but this game was probably too interesting than it needed to be.
Yeah. And that's not to say that Iowa like couldn't beat Indiana next week. That's
Of
not.
course not. Anything can happen.
Yeah. But for a team that is so much better on the lines as Iowa is over Rutgers to be that close in the fourth quarter. And honest, like if we're being honest, again, going back to your point, if the special teams aren't a factor in this game, which I know it's part of the game, but if they're not a factor, Rutgers wins this game.
I mean, sure, but like and I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. But that's also where Iowa has its bread and butter, right? That's where Kirk Ferentz finds the hidden points all the time,
Yes. But
and
yeah.
that's one of the things that makes him such a great coach is that he goes out and he wins these games where it's more talent equated in some instances. And I don't think you can't say this is a talent equated game. Rutgers has real pros on this team. Iowa
Yep.
has real pros on their team. I mean, Max Llewellyn, he's going to be a high draft pick, I think. Which, if there's anything with this Iowa team that I'm super high on, it's dudes like Max Llewellyn. It's dudes
Yes.
like the interior of that
Aaron
defensive line.
Graves. Oh my yeah.
Jennings Dunker, on the offensive line, Logan Jones. I mean, when they needed yards, they went behind the dudes on the offensive line that they trusted the most. Iowa did,
Yeah.
and it paid off for 'em.
Yeah. Just I don't disagree with you. What does it say though that we're talking about Iowa finding the hidden points against Rutgers
Right,
when we're
that's what I'm
talking
saying.
yeah,
Like
when we're talking about
that
Indiana next week.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, if anything, this game made me feel even more confident in my pick that they're going to win 7 or 8 games, maybe
Yeah,
9 if things work out
yeah,
for them. But this is a 7 or 8 win team,
yeah,
and I think if you were an Iowa fan with Gronowski as your quarterback, you probably were hoping for better than that this
yeah,
season. At least 9 wins, but
yeah,
that's how it goes.
yeah.
Philip says, "Did anyone pick the over tonight?" I sure didn't. I did, and I was really worried because in the first half I was feeling super confident, and then there were 3 field goals that were missed or blocked, and I was like, "Holy crap, what's gonna happen here?" But no, thankfully the offense continued to explode in the fourth quarter and hit the over with ease. But yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else from this game you want to bring up, Zach?
No, I think we're in pretty much agreement. I just want to reiterate, like Gronowski took some steps tonight, which I think is good.
And
I
the
think
offense took some steps with him, right? The way they
yes,
utilized him, the way I mean,
yeah.
it's
There's
we're kind
there's
of we're kind of dogging the Iowa offense, but it's not all to dog. It's just this is not a playoff offense.
yeah, and I think that's important. Like we're not saying like I joke about the Kirk Ferentz retirement tour. There's progress here that I think is great, but I think you have to measure that progress like in context, which is it was progress that they might be an 8 or 9 win team this year. And I think for Rutgers, it's too bad that they didn't win this game because I think if they win this game, they're in a really good position to make a bowl game. I'm not sure they're in a good position to win a bowl game. And I feel less confident because of the depth and because outside of your quarterback and your skill position players, I just don't see any other impact guys right now.
Well, let's do it really fast. All right, let's do Rutgers and then we'll do Iowa. Rutgers has remaining at Minnesota.
It's
Probably not.
toss up. Toss up.
I would say lean Minnesota though.
Yeah.
So let's say 3-2 at Washington, three and
No.
three.
Yeah.
Oregon,
No.
3-4. At Purdue, let's
Toss
give that
up.
one to them. Let's give that one to them.
Yeah.
4-4. At Illinois, 4-5.
Yeah, I could see Illinois fans are going to get mad at me. I could see a world where that's a game. I mean, last year Rutgers came close to upsetting Illinois.
Okay, I
So
think you're insane. Um,
I'm
I'm
just
joking with
saying.
you. I'm
I'm
just
just
joking with you.
saying.
Yeah, but it's not enough for me to pick a win
No,
for
I'm not
Rutgers.
picking
So
it. I'm just saying. I'm not. I don't think that's as insane as other games.
okay, I'm mostly messing with you, but
Uh
all right.
huh.
So for
Don't take
4
advantage
and
of a sleep deprived Zach. Okay,
hey, you're
don't
not
do
yawning
that.
yet. You're not yawning yet. We got one more topic to get to, and then you'll start yawning.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, 4-5. Maryland, 5, 5-5.
I I think it's a toss up, right? Because Malik Washington,
It's at home though, right?
it is. It is.
But yeah, you're right. Late in the season, Malik Washington versus that secondary. Let's give it to him. You know, for argument's sake. And then at Ohio State and Penn State to end the season.
No.
Yikes.
No.
5-7 at best. Is that what you're thinking?
That's and to be fair, that's what I projected.
Yeah.
Listen, Philip, I'm not off my rocker. just so people remember from last year of what I'm talking about. The score was 38-31 Illinois over Rutgers because Pat Bryant had a 40-yard touchdown reception with 4 seconds left to force overtime. Or no, not to force overtime. It was
It
over.
was to win. Yeah, it was to
Yeah,
win.
it was to win. But like it was tied with 4 seconds left.
Yeah, but Zach, you're forgetting they have Hank Beatty now. He'll do the same thing.
No. I was told by many on this show that Pat Bryant was the second coming of Larry Fitzgerald, and in fact, he might even be better than
And
Larry
Hank
Fitzgerald.
Beatty. And
No,
Hank Beatty
I
is
will not
the
hear
new...
this. I will not hear this. La 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 la. Sorry.
All right. Well, let's do Iowa's schedule and then we'll move on to talking about Oregon, Penn State. All right. Iowa sits at 3-1 right now. They have Indiana. I would lean loss there.
Yeah.
So it's home, but I would lean loss. So just for argument's sake, let's go with loss. 3-2 at Wisconsin. I think win. Yeah, win.
Yeah, I'd go like 60-40
I
win.
mean, we're talking about Wisconsin can lose to Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got Iowa there.
at home. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
4-2. Penn State loss, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 4-3. Minnesota at home. With the way they looked against Cal,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Iowa in this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
4-4. Or sorry, five
Five
and
and
five
three.
and three.
I will say this. Penn State fans are gonna hate me for this. Like Iowa has always played Penn State tough at home. And like crazy, like Cade McNamara beat, or no, Spencer Petras beat like a top 4 Penn State team like 3 years ago in Kinnick Stadium. So just weird things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, again, not saying that's gonna happen, but college football is weird.
It is weird. All right. Oregon loss. 5-4.
Yeah.
You at USC.
No.
I would think that's a loss.
Yeah, it's a loss.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Lincoln Riley, Kirk Ferentz, it's still a toss up, right? With the way Kirk Ferentz coaches and some of the stuff he does. But if USC is who we think they are right now,
Yeah.
it should be a loss.
Yep.
All right. So 5-5. And then your final 2 games, you need to win one of these: Michigan State at Nebraska. I think they win one of those at the very least, if not both.
And it really, like, I would pick Nebraska, but
Nebraska's like Ohio State, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Like Nebraska should win,
yeah,
just like Ohio State should win. But I'm picking Michigan because Ohio State hasn't won in 5 years.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel.
So with a iffy USC game, but not really iffy, and then like an iffy Indiana game, but not really iffy, we're looking at 7-5 right now.
Yeah. Which is not good enough.
I don't think so either, but Blue Wolverine is here. Gentlemen, thank you, Blue Wolverine. Appreciate you being here, as always. Zach, let's talk through this Oregon Penn State stuff. So lines came out for Oregon Penn State. They've been out on FanDuel for a little while. So if you look on FanDuel, you're gonna find Oregon Penn State at plus, or I apologize, minus 3.5 for Penn State. Penn State's favored in this one, obviously at home. There's a lot of people telling you slam for Oregon to cover, even if they don't win. They're going to cover, money line at the very least, stuff like that, saying Oregon's going to win this game. Go for it. Oklahoma State also lost today. That was a really impressive win by the standard of like how many points they scored. But Oklahoma State sucks. They just lost to Tulsa tonight.
By the way, Oregon State's worse. Maybe Oregon State might be worse.
Oh yeah, they're like 0-3 right now. So yeah, they might be worse. And then I rewatched that Northwestern game. Northwestern was running the ball better than I had recalled at the beginning of that game. Now obviously it started to taper off and stuff, but at the beginning of that game they started running the ball better. If Penn State sticks with the run, I mean, I don't know. I guess my whole argument here is I don't think we should write off Penn State so easily. Like, I get Drew Aller hasn't looked super great. I get that there's some concern there, but I'm just not sold that this is a for sure win for Oregon yet. They got to go on the road, basically across the country, wide out. Like, you still have Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. Nicholas Singleton hasn't been super impressive, but Katron Allen's been really good. I think Katron Allen's been the better back. I saw rankings today that had Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton at 3 and 4 in the Big Ten. And I was like, why are we still ranking Nicholas Singleton over Katron Allen? Sure, maybe in their career you want to say he's the better home run hitter, but to me it's kind of like Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson last year, right? Like, Travion Henderson had that electric ability to be able to take the ball to the house at any point in time. Nicholas Singleton's not quite like that, but he does have the speed and the athleticism to be able to do that. But Katron Allen is your consistent, run the ball up the gut, get the yards you need, keep the success rate up type of guy.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, if I'm starting a team, I would rather have Katron Allen than Nicholas Singleton.
Yeah. I think Nicholas...
Not those two players. I'm saying the player type of thing. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. I think Katron Allen, fits Penn State more, just the way he runs. I do think Nicholas Singleton brings a dynamic. I think the Judkins Henderson uh, comparison is apt, and I think they're most of the time Judkins was the better fit, and I would agree. I think Katrin Allen is the better fit. But boy, you love Singleton, and boy, did we love Henderson, right? Because they could just do things
Oh
that
yeah,
nobody
you
else
you
could.
always want to have a Singleton on your team. You may not want
Yeah,
him to be like guy number one all the time, and I'm not
yeah,
saying you don't want him to be guy number one, but I'm just saying all the time.
yeah,
But you need a Singleton on your team if you're gonna have
yeah.
that ability to score at any time.
To your point, and this is something I was going to bring up next week as we talked about game picks, and I don't know who I'm going to pick. I know last week I mentioned something about my gut feel is Oregon by 10. I I feel much more murky about that, and even before Oklahoma State lost today. And I think as I've thought about the game, I I do feel like Oregon Oregon always looks so much better against overmatched opponents than most other teams
Them
because
and
the
USC.
way, huh?
I said them and USC.
Yeah, them and USC, and I think because their offense in a lot of ways plays to that strength, right? Like it's fast paced, get your athletes in space. They're very much in a unique class. And so when they play a team that can't scale up, it's just, I mean, forget it. You're done. And we've seen them struggle at times, even under Dan Lanning, when they face a team that can scale with them. So, like Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, right? And I know that they didn't have Evan Stewart in that game and whatnot, but once Ohio State kind of figured them out, it was over, and they were the superior team. I think you look at years back when they've played Georgia, when they've played teams of that caliber. I think the big question for me is Penn State that caliber? And I think they can be. I think defensively they can be. But I have some questions about their defense. I have a lot of questions about their offensive line, and I have a lot of questions about Drew Aller. But I think it might be moot if they can fluster Dante Moore and can kind of force them to be stuck in the mud a little bit.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say about Dante Moore is he at times, not I'm not saying all the time, but at times he is not getting the ball out quick and right away to his first read or whatever it is. You know, screenplays, slants, stuff like that. He's doing a really good job of that. But every now and then the play takes a little bit longer to develop, and he has the athleticism against these Oklahoma States and Northwesterns to kind of just go crazy back there and run around. And then he can, throw it to somebody who has run open within the 5 or 6 seconds that he has back there
Right.
to throw the ball away. I don't know if he's going to have that against Penn State though, right? This is a Penn State team that is better than what we've seen in the past, and Penn State is known for winning the game, and James Franklin is known for winning the games where you're the more talented team. To me, that's the biggest question. Which team is actually more talented? Right? Oregon has the recruiting rankings and stuff like that over Penn State, but do they have the experience? They still have a young secondary out there. And the defensive line for Oregon, they've done a good job in some scenarios, but it's still not been the best defensive line. Like, I haven't been saying that they're the best defensive line. I've been saying they're the best offensive line, but I've not been saying they're the best defensive line in the Big Ten because, quite frankly, they just haven't shown it all that much. They've been good against bad competition, but like I said, Northwestern was running on them more than I think
Yep.
they should have allowed them to. So for me, it's about making Dante more uncomfortable, fighting through the wide receiver blocks and stuff, getting when the athletes of Oregon are in space. And if you can do that on defense, you open up a good opportunity for Penn State to kind of play ball control a little bit. But will
Yeah.
Andy Kotelnicki do that? That's my biggest question. Will Andy Kotelnicki be willing to play ball control? Because sometimes he gets a little too pass happy and wants to put the ball in Drew Aller's hands when it's like, no, the run game is working. Just
Yep.
keep running the ball. Hand it off to Kerryon Allen. He did it against Boise State. He did it against Notre Dame.
I I almost would bet that people are going to pick this game as high scoring. And I would bet it will actually hit whatever the over under is, I would bet it would hit the under.
The over-under right now on FanDuel is set at 53 and a half.
It's
So
going to
you're
be
looking
under.
at about a 27-27 game there.
Yeah. I would almost bet it's going to be like a 24-20 type of game.
Mm.
Which people will think I'm nuts for saying that, but you're actually challenged, like the degree of difficulty from the defenses that Oregon has played to Penn State's defense is insane. Like it's just an insane jump. And by the way, it's the same. The same is true for Penn State and translated to Oregon. The difference is Drew Aller does have 3 years experience. Dante Moore has 4 games experience. So
I just thought about this. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
no, that's the end of my thought.
Okay. I just thought about this, and maybe this is disrespectful. You tell me if I'm crazy here. Who has developed more over their 3 years in college? Drew Aller? Or their 3 years starting in college? Drew Aller or Athan Kaliak-Manis?
I think it's Kaliak Manis.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
to be fair to Aller,
Penn State fans are going to hate me so much. But I think it's a fair question. I mean, we'll have to see what happens throughout the entire season to know for sure. But I think it's a fair question, at least how the season has started so far.
there's Penn State people wondering if they kept the right quarterback, right? Like
Yeah. Bo Prabula is doing really good at Mizzou.
Yeah. And now granted, Mizzou hasn't played anybody either. So I still like I want to see how Aller does against good teams. Yeah. And I still maintain I don't know if Kotelnicki is the right offensive coordinator for what Penn State wants to do. Like I think Kotelnicki is he's a very good offensive coordinator, particularly for quarterbacks who are like Jalen Daniels, where you're not really a pro prospect.
He'd be a great offensive coordinator for Bo Prabula, pretty much.
Yeah, but like honestly, what Penn State I think Drew Aller would thrive more with a Kurt Soraka, if we're being honest. Like I just don't know if the gimmicky type offensive stuff actually fits.
Well, and in fairness, Oregon does some of the gimmicky stuff too. I mean, you watch that Northwestern game; they had offensive linemen lining up at wide receiver. I mean, on that goal line pitched pass that they had early in the game, they had an offensive lineman lined up as a wide receiver, and they pitch it to the other side, and Northwestern just didn't see it coming at all. So it was more used as eye candy than anything else. But back to your score prediction thing, and then we'll get out of here. We can be done after this, but. If it does end up being 24-20, I think that's the game Penn State wins. Yeah. Does that mean Oregon can't win? No, of course not. Oregon could still win there. But I think in that type of scenario, it's more likely Penn State wins. Now, if it's like the Big Ten championship game, 38-31, 45-38, something like that, that's the game Oregon wins, I feel like. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I think the over-under is going to play a lot into people's predictions of the game here in this one. It's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited for that one, for sure.
It's going to be a great time. But we have even greater times set for Saturday. We have Michigan, Nebraska, Indiana, Illinois, the Hot Seat Bowl, Maryland, and Wisconsin. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't call it the Hot Seat Bowl. I had some Maryland fans that didn't like that I called that.
Loxley's not on the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
Not as much as Luke Fickell is.
Well, yeah, not as much as Luke Fickell. Yeah. But yeah, what else? What other games we have tomorrow? We have other good games. Oregon State, Washington State. Those are good rivalry games.
They're good rivalry games, but they're
Yeah. But don't you just want to see a duck kill a beaver?
I mean, they're going to put them out of their misery like halfway through the second quarter. It's going to be like 45 to negative bajillion.
Are we going to see a running clock against Oregon State? Holy cow. That would be the most
I
diabolical thing if Dan Laney did that.
I covered a high school game before watching the college game tonight. I thought we were headed towards running clock territory.
Yeah.
It was 21-0. They're about to go in 28, like 28-0. Fumbles happens, goes 21-8 at halftime.
Ooh.
22-21 until the team that was leading 21-0 came back and scored and won the game. But
Wow.
fourth down, sorry, this is nobody needs to know this.
No,
But
this is high school football for you in a
yeah,
nutshell.
it was fourth down. They QB sneaked to try to get the game tying touchdown. They were short by literally like a credit card's width.
Uh-huh.
Like the football was literally, I thought the nose of the football crossed the plane, and they
Yeah.
did not. And it's like they took a safety to end the game. Like that's how deep they're. Anyway, we got
Fun stuff.
there are some good games tomorrow. I'm excited.
Fun stuff. And Josh is right. Josh Miller, thank you. SC versus MSU, USC versus Michigan State. That should be a fun game. I am interested to see if Michigan State can prove me wrong and make this more of a game. And honestly, I'll be rooting for it to be more of a game. I don't really care who wins. Obviously they're both Big Ten teams, but I'll be rooting for this one to be more of a game because that would just make it so much more exciting. So, all right, everybody. Hey, we greatly appreciate you being here with us on a Friday night. This is 12:15 Eastern time, and Zach is still with us, so we got to get Zach to bed. Everybody, wish
Amen.
Zach,
Amen.
wish Zach, sleepy, nice dreams tonight in the chat. That would be awesome, and I'll stay up just a little bit later to get this podcast out there. So, we appreciate all of you being here. Zach, any final thoughts before we head out?
I was falling asleep there. I really shouldn't joke about that.
It's gonna happen one of these nights,
Yeah.
Max. Sweet dreams, my prince.
People who are listening are like, what the heck is going on over there? Yeah, this is fun. Bummed for thanks, Homus Hero. Bummed for Rutgers. Good win for Iowa, but
Yeah.
I think our criticisms are still valid, but we can recognize it's a good win for them still. So
The nice thing is Rutgers definitely has something to build on. If they can get the injuries back and get healthy, they definitely have something to build on here. We'll see. Don't put it past a Greg Schiano team to improve the defense throughout the season.
Yep.
Just gotta see it happen. So,
Yep.
all right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Zach, thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here in the chat. If you're listening on podcast, we appreciate that. Like, subscribe before you get out of here. If you're on podcast, give us a 5-star rating. We do the show for you, and we appreciate the support with the 5-star rating and everything else. But it also helps support you all because the more this channel grows and more stuff happens, the more content we can put out there and dedicate time to it and stuff like that. So really appreciate everybody, and we'll be back on Saturday night following. Well, I'll be back. Zach will not be back on Saturday night / Sunday morning following the Michigan State USC game to do a very short power rankings episode, and then catch you on Sunday night for our takeaways, games recaps, stuff like that. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Have a good one.